Good day, Africa, and welcome to another exciting edition of AAU Talks. And AAU Talks is brought to you by the Association of African Universities headquarters here in Accra, Ghana. Don't forget to join us on our various social media platforms, Association of African Universities on Facebook and AAU_67 on Twitter. And today I have a beautiful guest in the studio, and we'll be discussing pedagogical leadership and its contribution to African higher education. And I know most of you are hearing pedagogical leadership for the very first time, and you are wondering what is it all about. And that is what we'll be discussing in the studio. My name is Kwesi Sam. I'll go for a short break, and when I return, I will let you know my guest. Stay tuned. This is AAU Talks.
DJ Tronky.
Another one bites the dust. Oh, why can I not conquer love? And I might have thought that we were one. Why not to fight this war without weapons? And I wanted it bad. But there were so many red flags. And another one bites the dust. Now let's be clear, I trust no one. You did not break me. I'm still fighting for peace. Well, I've got thick skin and an elastic heart, but your blade, it might be too sharp. I'm like a rubber band until you pull too hard. But I may snap when I move close. You won't see me fall apart, 'cause I've got an elastic heart. I got an elastic heart. Yeah, I got an elastic heart. Ooh. So love me like you do, 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 touch me like you do, touch me like you do. Oh, what are you waiting for? Cause I'm too high. Call the police and then find me, I'm too high. Make a dragon wanna retire, man, I'm too high. Say my name, you know who I am, I'm too high. I'm too high. Singing, why were you creeping out late last night? But I see two shadows moving in your bedroom light. Now you're dressed in black, when I left you were dressed in white. Can you feel me in? Can you feel me in? I got an elastic heart.
DJ Tronky.
And another one bites the dust.
Welcome back from the break, and you are still watching AAU Talks, and AAU Talks is brought to you by the Association of African Universities. And our topic for discussion today, we are looking at pedagogical leadership and its contribution to African higher education. And like I told you before, we have a beautiful guest in the studio, and she is Dr. Beatrice Muganda, and she is the Director of Higher Education Partnership of Partnership for African Social and Governance Research, and she came all the way from Kenya. We are so much privileged to have you, Doc.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Great.
It's a bit hot though.
Oh, yes, because Kenya is a bit colder now.
Yes.
Great. Is it your first time in Ghana?
No,
Okay.
I've been coming to Ghana since 2011 when we started working with the University of Ghana.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you have a longer period. Are you going to stay for long here within this period?
Not really. We are doing a lot of things
Mm.
in African higher education. And if I spend too much time in Ghana, then the program in the other countries might just slip.
Okay,
Yes.
so we are privileged to have you once again, especially talking about pedagogical leadership and its contribution to African higher education. Most importantly, our universities are being chastised for producing graduates who are not employable. The universities are seen as ivory towers in our generation. And so I find this discussion very important. But before we even go into the topic, we want to understand PASGR, what PASGR means and what you stand for and what you do on the continent.
Thank you very much. So just a little about myself again. Beatrice Mukanda, and an educational planner.
Okay.
I am very passionate about education and teaching and learning in particular.
Okay.
So I have taught at universities. I have worked for the Commission for University Education as a regulator. And now I'm privileged to work for the Partnership for African Social and Governance Research, which was established in 2010 as a not-for-profit organization that works with universities, research institutions, and individual researchers and academics to produce evidence that informs public policy. So PASGR work is organized around 3 program areas. We have the research program that works with these individuals that I mentioned before to produce research. Occasionally, it also just would facilitate them to synthesize existing evidence, like on the illicit cash transfers, for example, and then facilitate interaction with policy actors for research uptake for the policy process. So PASGR has invented Utafiti Sera, which is Kiswahili word for policy research. And this is a house that brings together a number of stakeholders to discuss research findings and see how they inform public policy. And through this, we've had a lot of success with the Social Protection Bill in Kenya.
That's fine.
And also creating employment in the agricultural industry in Nigeria. We are doing a lot of work in Kigali and also in turning African cities around, etc., etc. And then we have the Professional Development and Training Program. And this addresses the immediate needs of researchers from, of course, mainly universities, but also research organizations and other policy practitioners. We've had, you know, like people from the army enroll.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we've had people from parliament enroll. So our courses are really demand-driven, and they're basically for tooling and retooling researchers. So for active researchers who want to deepen their skills, but also broaden their skills, because our researchers may look at themselves as just qualitative or quantitative.
Exactly.
But through our training, they're able to broaden the skills and to get an appreciation of mixed methods research. And the practitioners are also able to deepen their understanding of research and what research findings they need for the policy process.
Yeah, that's very amazing, because most often than not, we have challenges where coming from the industry. They always complain that they are unable to translate our research findings into whatever they do, because the terms or the terminologies that we use, they are not simplified to their level for them to understand and then practically use our research output. So I find your work very interesting and important.
Sure. We have one module on critical policy engaged research, and that particularly addresses the issues that you have just raised, and I can assure you that it's always oversubscribed. The demand for it is just immense.
That's great.
So we offer these in the Methods Institute, and these are run twice in a year, in March and in November, but also on a demand-driven basis. Universities or research institutions will reach out to us and request us to go and offer these modules.
Okay. Okay, that's wonderful.
So through this, we've actually been able to train over 1,000
Okay.
researchers throughout the continent.
Okay.
But perhaps
Both from academia and then
research institutions,
Okay.
civil society organizations,
Student.
government, public sector, yes, especially doctoral students.
Okay.
And doctoral students have come out saying that they were better able and faster to finish their thesis and graduate on time, because of the experience with PASGR training in the Methods Institutes.
Great. I mean, research is important. If we want to achieve the Africa we want, then we need to put much more emphasis on research. I mean, the research that would drive our development as a continent. And so kudos, I think you are doing a good job.
But finally, the home of pedagogical leadership.
Sure.
It is the higher education program of PASGR.
Okay.
And this work entails working with universities, informal collaborations to advance training in public policy. So we have the Collaborative Master of Research and Public Policy program, and this is a program that was collaboratively created by 13 universities across 7 African countries,
okay.
and it's offered by these universities. You want to know them?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So we have Sierra Leone,
Okay.
we have Ghana, we have Lagos, Ibadan, and Jos. We have Uganda Christian, Uganda Matters, Muzumbe, University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania,
Okay.
Egerton, Nairobi, and Maseno in Kenya, and we have University of Botswana.
Okay.
So we have so far graduated 3 cohorts, and there has been massive demand for a doctoral program.
Okay.
So at the moment we're in the process of designing a doctoral program. We've already done a lot of work with the partner universities in the design. We are in the process of just finishing the consultations to move the design towards finalization.
Okay.
And we are confident that this will roll out in September of this year. And our graduates are very excited. And it is also going to serve the many master's students who are interested to advance the development of their countries through involvement either as academics,
Okay.
in public policy, related multidisciplinary fields, or as policy practitioners who work for government, for the public sector, civil society organizations, media like yourself, to advance public policy, its formulation,
That's fine.
its implementation, monitoring and evaluation, and
Okay.
repeating the entire process.
That is a salad of, of issues, and they are very important.
Yes.
But to help our listeners and then even academics as well, if we are looking at pedagogical leadership, what are we talking about?
Wonderful. So that is the latest work that PASGR is focusing on. And let me clarify right from the outset that in pedagogical leadership, PASGR is leading a partnership of 8 other institutions, including Alliance for Research Universities in Africa, including Institute of Development Studies at the University of Sussex in the UK.
Okay.
And we have 5 implementing partner universities: University of Ibadan in Nigeria, University of Ghana right here. We also have Uganda Matters University in Uganda, University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and Egerton
Okay.
University.
Okay.
So the focus here is to transform the way teaching and learning happens. We started off very modestly with the one program that I mentioned earlier, the Collaborative Master of Research and Public Policy program. And we started trying out many methods of teaching and learning that pushed away from the talk and chalk.
Okay.
Because in a public policy program, you really need to engage the content and the issues and to get the students to be prepared to go out there and deal with these issues, to produce research that really shapes public policy. So as a result of this, there was demand from other students enrolled in other programs. They kept on asking, why is this program, the Collaborative Master of Research and Public Policy, special? Why are the students being taught differently? Why are they more excited to go to class, and why are they using more technology? So that then gave us the impetus to mobilize resources together with the partners that I mentioned earlier from the Strategic Partnership for Higher Education,
okay.
Innovation and Reform sphere.
Okay.
And we were very happy that, you know, at the beginning of the year, out of millions of applications across the world, we were one of 9 partnerships that were chosen for funding.
Oh, okay.
And we are the only African-led partnership.
Oh, congratulations. That's great.
Thank you. So the idea is to catalyze systemic change. We believe in creating exceptional learning moments.
Okay.
So for us, the question we put to our lecturers is, when you step in a class, what do you want students to think about the lesson? And we want them to use words such as exceptional, different, pioneering, exciting, insightful. And that will not happen if they're just lecturing, if it's just about talk and chalk. So ideally, we want to move our lecturers from the sage on the stage to a facilitator of knowledge,
sure.
in a process of co-learning, where they look at students as active creators of knowledge who have to make meaning of what they're taught in class and the reality out there. And so that will not happen if the teachers are just feeding them and spoon-feeding them. So all our interventions are meant to empower students to be active in the learning process.
Okay. So, Doc, let me ask you, you are an educationist and a quality one by all standards, because a director of higher education. What do you make of our teaching and learning processes in our universities on the continent? Are we there yet? Are we using old methods? Because I always tell my colleagues that our mode of eating, dressing, communication, everything has changed in the last century, but the education system seems to be the same. What will be your assessment currently of our teaching and learning modes or methods in our African universities?
You know, when you talk about teaching and learning, what immediately comes to the mind of many students and lecturers as well is the epithet of yellow page professor. I don't entirely agree with that. It's not that all the professors are yellow page, but you know, perhaps a majority of lecturers are still doing a lot of talk and chalk. And from the baseline study that we carried out before we launched this Pedagogical Leadership initiative, we found that amongst methods that tend to move away a little from the lecture method is group work.
Group work, okay.
But even then, with the group work, sometimes it is the activity that a lecturer will give students when they don't have time to come to class. Some lecturers really don't even like using group work because they feel that it's full of freeloaders, students who may not participate in the activity but still want to earn the mark. So every opportunity for us has been an opportunity for innovation, because even with methods that are already taking place like the group work, we discuss with lecturers how to make the best out of it to maximize learning outcomes. So I'll just give an example. If you've given group work, ask students to present randomly, or ask questions randomly, or give them a written exercise as individuals just to understand that they have actually participated, engaged with the content, and know what is in that report. So every opportunity is an opportunity for innovation. But beyond that, what's really interesting about PEDAL, the pedagogical leadership, is that it builds on the classic foundations of any education program. So we have education foundations, we have pedagogical strategies and models, we have transformative curriculum design and learning design, we have innovative assessment, and then it blends with other flavors like pedagogical leadership and also technology-enhanced learning. And it has been truly inspiring to see our teaching staff, our lecturers, some who have been teaching for the last 30 years appreciate and feel really nice about being able to create a website
Okay.
and showcase their learning and the teaching journey and their learning of how to deliver courses innovative. So a teacher can create their own website and showcase what they are doing. So
Okay.
that pushes them, stretches them to do something a little bit more than just lecture.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Now, a lot of us also confuse pedagogy with andragogy sometimes. So what is the clear distinction or difference between andragogy and then pedagogy if you're looking at pedagogical leadership?
Okay, so it is time for a little Greek lesson.
That's great.
Yes, and I studied in Greece at the
Okay.
University of Athens.
Oh,
so
that's beautiful.
yeah, I'm empowered to do that. So both these words have their roots in Greek. Andra means man, so andragogy is the teaching of men.
Men, okay.
And pedia means children, so pedagogy is the teaching of children. So, of course, there are clear divides. So, for example, children cannot make clear meaning of the world, and so they learn by imitation.
Sure.
But adults will bring their experience and make meaning of the world around them and construct knowledge. However, one has to ask, where is the place of women? If we are teaching children and we are teaching men,
Maybe,
about
maybe the
women?
men was used in a generic form where women are part of.
Definitely not,
Not.
because if you go to the field of medicine, there's gynecology. In Greek, women are gyneka. So gynecology comes from the word women.
Okay.
So why don't we have androcology? And why is it that in education then we don't have something like gynagogogy? Yeah. So
So
basically,
these are new things. You are bringing them up, right?
exactly.
Okay.
So it therefore means that the word pedagogy is used generically to just capture all the learning processes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but most importantly, if we are looking at pedagogical leadership in higher education, then are we not missing the mark, because higher education is basically or mostly the apex of educational institutions. So why don't we tackle it right from the beginning? And that is a challenge that we have. We allow the foundation to go unchecked, and then at the apex level we try to polish it up. Why don't we start from the grassroots or the beginning?
So our approach is actually starting at the top
Okay.
and then working on the trickle-down benefits.
Okay. So the
And
top-down approach.
exactly. Yes, because it's easier to start work with a small team, create impact, demonstrate results, and catalyze replication and uptake. So right now we are working with graduate students.
Okay.
And these are the students who are going to be teaching teachers. So some of them will be teaching the Faculty of Education. And even when they teach across other social sciences, sociology, political economy, etc., etc., our graduates end up teaching. And they teach the way they were taught. So most of the talk and talk now is because our graduates were taught by talk and talk. I don't know about you, but there's
Yeah.
a bit of that in my programs as well.
Sure.
So we believe we're on the right track, because if we teach them well, they're going to teach well, and their graduates will also teach well. We are also hoping that we can have this mainstreamed in the doctoral program. And so again, if we mainstream this in the doctoral program, then it means that the graduates who come out
Okay.
will also be empowered to teach if they choose the teaching path.
Okay.
But it's not just about teaching alone. There are many opportunities for capacity building.
Okay.
And so there's enough scope for adapting what they learn in PEDAL to use in any capacity building initiative.
Okay.
So what's the aim?
Okay.
What's the aim of being able to deliver using innovative pedagogy? It means that you enable students to really engage the content deeply. So they learn deeply, and they're not able to forget, because they also have the opportunities to apply what they are learning.
Okay.
And so we talk of maximizing learning outcomes, because they will be able to meet the objectives. And in terms of the objectives, we're talking about the knowledge, the skills, the right attitudes and values. So in pedagogical leadership, we use tools such as tricky topics. So with tricky topic tools, I think you'll remember some of the concepts that were just so difficult for you to learn. So it invites teaching staff to think about innovative ways of addressing this difficult concept so that students
Would
acquire
develop that
them.
love. Okay.
So if you just lecture, talk to the students and move on, you really do not know whether they have learned or just heard and are likely to forget.
Okay.
We use flipped classroom. Here is whereby we encourage teaching staff to give students assignments that they can do outside of the classroom and then come to the classroom to discuss the same.
Okay.
Because the classroom space is very limited.
Limited. Okay.
And in any program we have non-contact hours, but some of those hours just go wasted because students are not really given assignments that engage them. We also invite students to learn using all their senses. So we have developed case studies, and the most commonly understood case studies are the paper-based case studies. But through PASGR and now the Pedagogical Leadership Project, we are creating digitally enabled case studies.
Okay.
This is telling a story, but developing it into an object that combines different assets. Assets, I mean, like data sets, like newspaper cuttings, like videos, like, you know, vox pop, voices from outside into the classroom.
Okay.
And altogether, it's a very interesting object that the student can interact with. It appeals to their emotions. And it also appeals to their sense of sight, hearing, and everything. And so they engage holistically.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they are able to learn.
And
not
relate
forget.
to.
Yes,
Sure.
and also to just, you know, apply. Plus, it helps them to develop a wide range of skills. They can engage into critical thinking about the messages. They can also do like summary analysis. They can work through some practical exercises. There are other resources like they'll point them to some readings which they have to do. So it is really a compact teaching tool.
Okay.
So that's one of them. So I've talked about tricky topics. I've talked about the e-case studies. I've talked about the group work, just helping teachers to maximize the learning outcomes out of that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then reflective learning. Most of our teaching staff, you know, don't really take time to reflect upon the lesson that they've just delivered. What was the outcome? How was it received?
But don't you think one of the basic problems we have in our universities is that apart from those who went into school to study education, a lot of them are academics, but they don't have education background. For example, I went to study mathematics, BSc mathematics. I went on to do MPhil mathematics. I went on to do PhD mathematics, but I don't have any pedagogical skills to teach mathematics. And so I teach mathematics just like I'm just passing on the knowledge. But a teacher who has a background in teaching or has the great pedagogical skills in mathematics is able to analyze and better transfer the knowledge than someone who doesn't have an education background. And that is a problem we seem to have in our universities. I don't know if you have that assertion as well.
You're spot on, actually, and you just confirming the rationale for PEDAL. We recognized that there was this problem.
Yeah.
And of course, if anybody who hasn't done pedagogy or a degree in education wishes to teach, sometimes they go and undertake a one-year diploma.
Yes, the postgraduate diploma, yes.
But that postgraduate diploma has not made a difference. They come out and they still lecture. Yes, because it's got a lot of theories and it lacks the opportunity to apply. So that's why we came up with PEDAL. PEDAL is an intensive 1 week training
Okay.
that touches on the most basic skills that teaching staff would require to be able to be innovative teachers.
Teachers, okay.
And another component of PEDAL is pedagogical leadership.
Okay.
So once we empower a teaching staff to teach innovatively, it does not stop with there. They also have an opportunity
To pass on.
to interact with another, to share the knowledge and to document that
Okay.
as a matter of reflective practice.
Okay.
So we are breaking barriers. We are saying you don't have to be a good teacher because you took a degree in education. Anyone can in fact be a good teacher if they have the passion, the interest, and
The
if
right
they take
attitude.
Yes, and if they take pedagogical leadership course and apply. And the way the course is packaged is that we are getting immediate results.
Okay.
So I'll tell you some of the outcomes
Okay.
of this
So
course.
we'll go for a break, and when we come, we'll look at the outcomes.
Okay.
And then we'll also look at who is eligible to partake in the pedagogical.
Okay.
Yeah. Viewers, you are still watching AU Talks, and I'm sure some of you are still remembering how you used to describe some of your teachers or your lecturers back in school. Some of them didn't know how to teach. You were always confused and always complaining. Stay tuned. After the break, we'll get more from Dr. Muraganda.
The Federal University of Technology Akure FUTA was established in 1981 to promote science and technology education in Nigeria. FUTA has 8 schools: School of Agriculture and Agricultural Technology, School of Sciences, School of Engineering and Engineering Technology, School of Earth and Mineral Sciences, School of Environmental Technology, School of Management Technology, School of Health and Health Technology, School of Computing, and the School of Postgraduate Studies. The university has also grown rapidly in terms of student enrollment, with a population of approximately 20,000 undergraduates. In addition to the 8 schools, FUTA also has specialized research and allied centers for ease of academic and research administration. FUTA enjoys flourishing academic relationships with several reputable centers of excellence in teaching and research. Over the years, the university has contributed tremendously to national development through critical research, breakthroughs, and production of more than 25,000 graduates who are trailblazers in different areas of the economy. The university has carved a niche for itself in cutting-edge research. It's won and is hosting the World Bank Center of Excellence in Food Security. It also hosts the West African Science Service Center for Climate Change and Adapted Land Use, WASCA, financed by the German government. FUTA emerged the winner of the 2015 edition of the National Mathematical Championship for university students, among other distinctions. FUTA remains one of the most peaceful universities in Nigeria, one university with calendar stability and predictability that prides itself in high-caliber scholarship, professionalism, manpower development, and science, technical, and engineering education. FUTA, technology for self-reliance.
Welcome back from the break, and we are still discussing pedagogical leadership and its contribution to African higher education. And we still have Dr. Muganda in the studio, and we are still doing justice to the subject. Now, before we left off for the break, we had almost started with the outcome of this training. But even before we go to the outcome, most importantly, we want to know who is eligible to participate. Based on what I shared with you, a lot of the lecturers or the academics don't have that skill. So who is eligible? Is it the biology professor, or is it the chemistry, or those in the education field?
So actually everybody is eligible to participate. Some of the universities do have programs for inducting teaching staff just before they start teaching or at the beginning of the term. As you're aware right now, the commissions for university education all over in Africa are really putting a lot of emphasis on pedagogy because they think that we missed something, but just focusing on the numbers and not the dynamics in the learning environment. So we've had a very good conversation with universities, and those who have interacted with us so far see the gaps in the training programs that they have for teaching staff. And so they have embraced PEDAL holistically. So just to take you back again, we are a formal partnership that is supported by the Strategic Partnership for Higher Education, Innovation and Reform.
That's fair. Yeah.
That is supported by UK aid of the Department for International Development of the UK. So with this, we have 5 formal partners. But the beauty with this program is that there are opportunities for other universities to join. There are opportunities for teaching staff across the continent to join, because our aim is to catalyze systemic change across the continent.
Okay.
And this change is real. It's happening. PEDAL has already started shaking every corner of this continent. When we started, we had a target of just the 5 partner institutions.
Universities.
Then we sent out invitations, and within this first year, we've already reached 19 universities. Apart from the 13 MRPP universities that I mentioned earlier, we've already trained staff from University of Ilorin, Moi University, Technical University of Kenya, Makerere University. So United States International University of Kenya. So we are reaching out, and all the teaching staff are welcome. So they can either get in touch with us, or we will get there. Remember,
so
our project
are
is
you forming a network of the universities in terms of the PEDAL? Or it's just if a university want to train its new academics, then they call on you to do the training for them? We want to understand that.
So initially, because it takes time to build the confidence and the skills to train others, so initially we have a core team of trainers. And these are the trainers that are initially training for all the universities. But the aim is to develop a crop of trainers in each university. And of course, we know that not all the universities will be able to institutionalize and offer PEDAL. But for those that do, it is such a great opportunity for them to service other universities within the region. So for example, if we have a center at University of Ghana, they should be able to service other lecturers from Kumasi, from Ashesi, etc. If we have a center at Ibadan, they should be able to service other teaching staff from universities within that country, and at a small fee. And what we've realized is that there's really effective demand for this pedagogical training, especially the PEDAL one, because it's very interesting. And so, like, we just started our first big training in August, where we trained about 190 teaching staff, and there's already effective
across the 5 member universities,
and others you know,
as well.
Yeah, we invited representation from other universities. And so in our planning, we had planned to start university-specific workshops in 2020. But by 2018, there are already conversations by universities for us to go to the universities and train. And they are even willing to put down resources to meet some of the costs, at least the costs of conferencing. Then we meet the other costs, which really demonstrates faith in what we are doing, and a lot of interest in changing their ways of teaching and learning. So University of Ibadan is leading the way, and we are very proud of that university, because in January, we are going to that university to train 200 teaching staff. And the university is paying for all the conferencing costs. We are paying for the cost of delivering, you know, the lecturer, the resource persons, etc. And so this is the model that we are using to reach everywhere. As I had indicated, we are PEDAL, and this PEDAL, pedagogical leadership, is also significant in many ways. You know, the African terrain is rough. Higher education reform is tough. But we are armed with a bike. We are going to reach the mountains and the hills and the valleys, and you know, we will take this transformation across the continent, because the time is right for it.
So then let's look at some of the outcomes of the trainings you've had so far. You rightly mentioned the January one, the August one that you did. What are some of the outcomes, and then most importantly, the challenges going forward as well?
Good. So the way we have structured PEDAL is that we get opportunities to apply what is learned immediately. So part of the outputs of this training is that teaching staff develop a personal teaching philosophy. You're a teacher. Do you have a personal teaching philosophy? Do you have a personal teaching philosophy?
As in personally?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Good. So you'll be surprised. Many of the teaching staff really, as you correctly pointed out, didn't undertake education. So they've never even thought of a personal teaching philosophy. And this is very significant because it, opens them to think about the way students learn. What are their learning needs, and,
Exactly.
and how does this dovetail with the theories of learning and pedagogical strategies? So that's a big winner. So teachers develop a personal teaching philosophy, and then they articulate 3 pedagogical goals. They are welcome to do more, but 3. And it is their choice. It's demand-driven. You decide what you're going to do to change something in your practice. And then after that, they take a course, one course, and change some things in the course based on the goals that they have committed.
Okay.
And they share this. So you talked about the network. The network is there because we connect all the teachers in a virtual learning platform.
Okay.
And so they submit their documents on the platform. We have mentors across the continent who look at those documents and provide feedback.
Okay. Are they based on the various subject matter? For example, mathematics, chemistry?
So education is, teaching and learning practices are very generic.
Okay.
Yes,
All
it's
right.
like a vessel that you can fill with wine, with water, with juice.
Okay.
So if I'm going to change my learning objectives and make them more specific, I'll just change those.
Okay.
If I'm going to align the curriculum, I'll just align it so that
Absolutely.
the outcomes talk to the content and talk to the assessment strategies. If I'm going to measure learning outcome from a particular activity, I'll just do that. So this is what they are doing. Of course, we have a combination of expertise from several disciplines, but mainly social sciences to begin with.
Okay.
But we've had people come in, as you said, with math, with French,
Okay.
yeah, with agriculture, and they have found this useful. So we know that the deeper we drill into the sciences, we may have to change a few things, but so far it is working, and it's working beautifully.
Okay.
So we talked about the philosophy. These are the outputs, the 3 pedagogical goals, and a revised course outline.
Okay.
I mean, you can see very organically the change is just evolving. And then they're sharing these experiences across the network. If you're having some challenges with getting case studies, for example, you're talking to other teaching staff across the continent. What case have you used? Can I use the same? They're sharing teaching and learning resources.
Okay.
Oh, I had this problem when I was using case study teaching. How can I address it? So basically, you can see that evolution, that with time, we have a network of teaching staff across the continent,
Okay.
integrated, collaborating, sharing resources, and enhancing the quality of the programs.
Okay.
Then there are issues of access. I know it's still too early to talk about access, but for sure, once the programs begin feeling the effect of PEDAL, the enhanced quality, there'll be increased demand
and
for
access
these
as well.
courses. And another thing is 50% of the students who enroll for master's programs drop out. And they say part of the reason they drop out is they don't find it meaningless or they find it boring. Now, with all these interesting teaching and learning strategies, teaching and learning is going to be very interesting.
Okay.
And so we can expect the dropout rates to go down. And that means the universities will be more efficient, better able to utilize the resources that they have. And so when, there's a ripple effect. Once you have a university with a good outlook, you're teaching well, good graduation rates, the demand for your program increases, your national outlook increases, and your profile is raised. And that's what every university wants.
Yeah.
And please just allow me to emphasize this point. I do not understand this divide between teaching and research, because so far the emphasis has been on research.
Sure.
And research is great, but how do we produce good researchers if we don't teach them well? It is no wonder everywhere you go, you see kiosks, small shops you know, and the services they offer, we write thesis
for
in
you.
record time. This is what good teaching is going to eliminate. We are going to get students who
sit and do their own research
yes,
work. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the two are intertwined. And even in terms of university rankings, they look at teaching excellence, research effect, and the outlook of the university. So strengthening the pedagogical component will work nicely together with the other aspects of the indicators to help raise the profile of the universities.
Okay.
So this really is very important. And I am happy that some of the university leaders we have interacted with already are appreciating that, and you know, they're inviting us to go and train their teaching staff.
Okay, so I believe that is why you are in Ghana, at the University of Ghana as well. So can you share with us what you'll be doing in the University of Ghana?
Well, we have worked together with the University of Ghana to train some of the teaching staff in pedagogical leadership.
Okay.
And so we're just coming to share their story. You know, what are the experiences? How is uptake by the students, by the other teaching staff? Because in this pedagogical leadership, we work as a close-knit family. We support each other.
Absolutely.
We laugh together, we cry together. So if they have any barriers to implementation, how can we collectively address? If they need any support from across the network, how can we get it here? And also there are capacities there that we can harness to enhance the program for other universities. So these are the kind of discussions we are having over the next few days.
At the University of Ghana.
Yes.
Okay, so who is eligible to come there?
For the training, everybody,
Okay.
all the teaching staff. And like I've said, this transformation is real. If they don't come to us, we'll go to them.
Okay.
And once a few get trained, the message grows
We'll
like
keep-
for bushfire,
Sure.
and then the demand just, you know, is catalyzed. And that's what we want, slowly, to reach everybody everywhere in the continent. But we also know that we can't do this alone. And that's why this opportunity to have these conversations with the Association of African Universities is really great.
Sure. Yeah, it is, because, you know, the AAU runs such capacity building workshops as well. In I think we have the 21st century basic teaching and research for the academics as well. So I think it will be very important that we will be able to partner in some way, or kind of synergize some of the things, and then we come up with broader impact at the continental level. So we find what you are doing so interesting and so much innovative. But then before we let you go, we want you to tell us what should we expect 2019 from PASGR, and then from Pedal as well, and any final words that you have as well. That would be very great.
So for Pedal at the university level, if you, the effect of Pedal is that you'll find more interactions between the teaching staff from different departments. This has not happened.
Okay.
And you find education is now more actively involved. And we want to break the barrier that only teaching staff who are trained in education can teach well. We want to empower teaching staff from all departments,
that's
not
very
only
great.
to teach well, but to also teach others to teach well.
Sure.
We want more inter-university collaboration, as I mentioned, with sharing of the resources. Then, of course, there's the enhanced staff-student relations, because the moment that teachers start thinking seriously about how students learn, what are their learning needs, there'll be more understanding, more positive, and that just works together to improve the learning outcomes. We have more teachers embracing technology, which has been a problem in the past. And most importantly, you have to watch this space for innovation. So innovation comes in three phases. We have the business innovations, we have the social innovations, and we have the technological innovation. So Pedal actually covers all of this. In terms of technology, we are embracing technology.
That's great.
But we go beyond that and use other methods as well. Now, in terms of social innovation, we are improving the interaction spaces between the teachers and the students. And in terms of the business innovation, hey, if a university starts a center for pedagogy, they can service teaching staff from the region and make some money from it. which is a very good idea. In terms of the challenges, I must say, you see, we have the network on the virtual platform, but because of the problems of infrastructure and bandwidth, that slows down the response a little bit.
Okay.
Then we also have university policies that can sometimes be restrictive. So, for example, if we want to capture and really affirm learning outcomes from various teaching and learning opportunities, but the university maybe marks 70% on the exam, then it means they are not really valuing the emerging learning outcomes. And these are the ones that are really going to measure the 21st century skills, collaboration, leadership, critical thinking, adaptation. We need that. So we are having these conversations with the universities. How can we move together to make this transformation real?
Okay.
And another very interesting challenge is that the demand is overwhelming. So it's a challenge, but also an opportunity, and an exciting opportunity that we will collaborate with you to really make sure we make the change that is desired.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think you've shared your final words, but if you have not, I will give you the opportunity.
Yes, this is a message to all the teaching staff, the lecturers who are listening to me right now. When you step in a class and come out, how do you want students to think of that lesson? Exceptional, inspiring, different, distinctive. Work towards that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Viewers, we have been speaking with Dr. Beatrice Muganda, and she is the Director of Higher Education at PASGR, and we have been looking at pedagogical leadership and its contribution to higher education in Africa. And this subject is very important because we need to make sure that we are doing nothing but the best in our universities to transform our continent, and that is the Africa we want. My name is Kwesi Sam. Thanks for watching. See you soon.